Seen and Unseen Realities, Part 7 of the White Sands Incident.
Oh, this is so good. Here's the book, The White Sands Incident by Dr.
Daniel W. French Fry.
I love that. Yeah, he is definitely. Why does fried food taste so yummy and it's so bad for you?
Is it like the salts and the fats and then
It's gotta
the way
be,
they in the starch? That
But
goes
can
with
can
it?
you make fried halfway decent? Use
Coconut
different
oil.
oils. Yeah.
Coconut oil.
Yeah.
Coconut oil does not.
I know they use coconut oil for like fried shrimp and stuff like that.
It doesn't change under heat. It doesn't become a processed
Mm.
oil. It maintains its chemical structure.
Yeah, because like vegetable oils and stuff like that are carcinogenic.
Once you've heated them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. But the coconut oil stays the same. It's great.
So let's get into the voice, because we haven't identified the voice yet.
Uh-huh.
He's in a flying saucer. He's headed off to New York.
At 8,000 miles an hour.
He's way up high.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to understand, because now we're starting to see UAPs and everything going on now. We're seeing more alien sites. You're seeing craft pretty recently.
Yep.
Just yesterday or the day before.
Actually, yeah, broad daylight over at the Wildflower Park over here in Albuquerque.
So as we're seeing more, and we're hearing governments being more transparent and open, in 1960s, this voice said this: as I explained before, we will never attempt to force either our knowledge or our culture upon you, and will never come to your people unless there is substantial evidence that they desire it.
Interesting. Because when you do that, you can tell these guys are benevolent because of that comment.
Mm-hmm.
They're very respectful of creational laws, your free will, and they understand the importance of it, not only for them and their own development, but also for us. But what we've seen then in society, people are asking for more of it. They're searching for more of it. More people are looking to the skies. They want to understand more. So then you get an increase in the calling of this. And as that continues to happen and more people continue to call for that information and talk about it, that's sufficient evidence for them to be like, okay, maybe we should show up more often, rather than 1960 and then, maybe 3 times in the 2000s.
Yeah, and he says this: any knowledge or assistance which we can give will be freely offered.
Gosh, this part kills me, right? Because even the fact when Dr. Daniel W. Fry goes in the ship, he's asking like, I don't know, I get it, the propulsion of the ship, you'll get to that, but don't you think there are much stronger, more fundamental questions we should be asking? We're like, tell me how your culture operates. If you guys have engineered systems that have no waste, what does that also mean for the way you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? Did you find that aligns with other things you've seen within nature itself? How do you look at nature? What are your perspectives? Like, those are questions I would be asking, right? I get it's all well and good that you have an anti-grav craft.
Because we have to reframe the systems that we have.
Yes.
And then we're just on TCAS Turtle, and I encourage people to subscribe to that if they like technology, our other podcast. And we were talking to an expert, wrote a book on this, Fourth Industrial Revolution and supply logistics. And he was even saying that whole thing needs to be changed. Like, It's just been running on pen and paper for, and then some computing processes, but for years. So whenever an alien species is looking down at us, primitive apes is probably what they're viewing us kind of like as, maybe like an aquarium or fishbowl.
Ooh.
Well, they figured out nuclear. That's pretty good. But whenever we see that, then it's like, what are they doing with their technology? How are they using it? And are they helping themselves, or are they helping the planet that they live on?
Neither.
And so if they're not, then why would we want to give them any more information?
You're precisely correct. Why would we just continually give them just like, here you go, without they're not even asking for it?
You're not going to give a 2-year-old a knife.
No, you're not. How do you handle a knife, right? That's like here's a fusion process for nuclear technology. You don't just give that to anybody, right? All people want to do is they want to militarize stuff and then use it for defense to get the upper hand on someone. So when they say we'll freely offer this, is when the group, the collective, is ready as a whole. And people observe us long enough, they know what stuff, like, I really don't think we should be sharing that. They won't share something that would fundamentally like change power spectrums here on Earth.
Yeah, because they know, I mean, they could give it to one country, and next thing you know, that country's a superpower. Whether it's China or the United States or Russia, you know, I mean.
I can't stand that word superpower.
I know, yeah.
Why do you need to be a superpower? What's this idea of power and getting over on other countries?
I know. How about we're all global citizens, and we're here to make each of our lives better?
Yeah.
And the world better.
So you're just getting over on yourself?
And we're a gardener of this planet.
We're stewards.
Yeah.
Or at least we should be stewards.
Yeah, and he says this. And he gets into this a little bit. He says, when scientists attempt to apply this limited knowledge to practical ends, the results is an apparatus which is unwieldy and oftentimes complex. So, you know, he's going to get into the basics of physics and kind of explain the craft a little. But I thought this statement was really interesting because we take limited knowledge and then we double down on it.
Of course we do. We're way out on the branch. Remember we've used this metaphor?
Yes, yeah.
We're like, ooh, I've reached the end. No, you've reached the end of the branch. The tree still goes up another 300 feet. You know what I mean?
And this recognition of like 0.0001. I mean, you know, you could literally build, you know, I was thinking about this, you know, the Elon Musk talks about tunnels.
Yep.
You know, why couldn't you build eco-friendly tunnels that ship cargo back and forth?
We can.
You know, with magnetism.
Yeah, just go right under
then
the
you don't
Earth's-
need boats with fossils.
Go into the ocean floors, right through the crust.
Yeah, I mean, it would be so, you know, there's
So hard about that. We got that stuff here in New Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
We got great tunnel digging machines.
Mm-hmm. The infrastructure has been put in place and is so archaic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just reminds me of the guys in Wall Street at lunch break going and smoking a cigar in their suits, their starchy suits, you know, reading a newspaper.
Ugh.
You know, it's just that drinking brandy, you know, and having, you know, being a racist, you know. And they have to hire somebody that's not white to give them their brandy.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? It's these archaic systems, and it's like, why would I volunteer any information to you?
You wouldn't.
Whatsoever.
You wouldn't ever.
It's going to harm you.
They will respect the fact of you asking questions.
Yes.
But they're not just going to be like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, here's a ray gun. Here's this. And they're like, no.
So it's great that people are open to other species, you know, universal species. It's great. But we need to start asking the question, what are we going to ask them? One, Lex Friedman talks about this. What are we going to ask them? One. And number two, can we have a conversation with them that is beneficial for both parties?
Yep.
You know, obviously it's going to be a learn, teach, learn. So, and we're going to be doing the learning mostly.
A lot of learning.
Where can we start? You know, that's what I would ask. What can we do right now that's in our ability as monkeys? I would make a joke with them. Like, you know, we're apes. You know that. You're millions of years ahead of us. What can we do right now? What are some solves that we can fix to fix the planet right now?
Yeah.
You know, and then let's create a coalition along with them, because obviously we have like an AI, if you want to look at them as that. You know, they're a being, and that's super smart. That can you help us with this?
Yeah.
You know, and then can we get a coalition that has no borders and work with the UN and work with the United States and China, where we can make this fair and balanced, you know, policies that are out there that can say, yeah, we've done this. We've gone from, because that's something too. We're experimenting now on things,
but they've already.
We don't
gone
know if
through
shit's
it.
going to work.
They've already gone through it.
You know, this. I was listening to a gentleman, and he was talking about, and I've talked about this before. The two incidents that we've had with nuclear plants. We had Chernobyl, which had nothing to do with the reactor failing. We know, I mean, you can watch on HBO Chernobyl and all that stuff and see. So it had nothing to do with that. And
we stopped drinking vodka and
he was
tapping dials.
Yeah. And he was basically saying, he's like, you have to realize in that time frame, everything in Russia would kill you. He goes, the toasters were extremely unsafe. I mean, think about it. And then you look at the one in Japan. Well, that was a tsunami.
Yeah.
So you can't.
First of all, what I gotta say
how high of a wall? 300-foot wall of water? You're not gonna.
What kind of a jackass puts a nuclear power plant right on the edge of the ocean? Like,
so I mean, the two incidents wasn't the technology. You see what I'm saying? Because
it's just human error.
It's human error handling the new technology. So if they give us more technology,
and we're still bad human error. Our human
Why
error.
would they?
What's our number one human error? We kill each other.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our number one error we keep doing. Oh, here's a technology so you can do it more efficiently.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Of course they're going to hop onto that.
Yeah, so I think it's very, very important because each of these technologies could be used for death. They could be used for mayhem, or they could be used to, like, nuclear could, in a safe way, take our carbon costs to zero. You can even start netting lower. But who wants, with the two issues that we've had, that were human error, it's not the technology's fault. Technology works great.
Yeah.
Now who wants nuclear plants in their backyard? No one.
No one.
So because of the reputation it has, but that would
poor
literally,
management, all that other stuff.
Yeah, but that would literally, if they got that shit figured out, would solve the problem, with energy.
Yeah, and you know what they probably should have figured out first? Okay, so we can make nuclear technology. Well, how do we get rid of the waste?
Yes, exactly.
Before you even instituted the whole thing,
Yes.
you should have thought that through. You know what I mean? But that's just one of those aspects of it. The cool part is they're not throwing it all at you, but they are willing to share if you want to ask. That still respects their free will of choice. When they get to actually give you that information, they respect the fact that they're not impressing something upon you that you're not ready for.
Yeah, and he says this in the book on page 43. He says, if your scientists and engineers were capable of thinking in simpler terms,
They're not.
they could, with but little advance in the knowledge they now possess,
Yep.
construct a simple thermopile about the fission pile and convert the resulting temperature gradient directly into electric energy with an efficiency of at least 90 to 94%. This is in 1960, by the way.
Yeah, this is 1960. Remember I talked about nuclear subs? Well, even with Fukushima Daiichi, why is it on the water? They're pumping all this ocean water in there to run it around the core, right? To generate heat.
Right.
And then from this, turn that heat into steam, push the turbine, generate the electricity. You're at a 30% efficiency on this process of nuclear technology, and nuclear fission is, albeit very efficient. Atoms split. You get the reaction going, and they're just going to keep doing that until the fuel's spent. Well, they're saying a thermopile. What is that? So what you're doing is you get dissimilar metals like a copper and iron, and you're going to put those into a bundle. And then what happens as heat moves across those, there's a change of charge.
Right.
So as the core's heating up, I'll just put a thermopile, wrap it around the core, and that instantly creates electricity. I don't have to have mechanical energy. I don't need steam energy. I don't need water. I don't need all this other stuff happening. I just need the core running, wrap it in a thermopile, 94% efficiency.
But I think
we already have thermopiles.
Yes.
We use them on our furnaces. What kind of a jackass didn't want to put it on a nuclear reactor? It's the smartest thing you could have done.
But the Earth creates thermopiles deep in the ocean.
All the time, yeah.
There's big warm pockets of
We have dissimilar metal in Earth's crust.
Yeah, so, why couldn't we understand that a little bit more with thermofusion? But what I want people to understand is when we look at scientists and engineers in these simpler terms, we have to also understand they're extremely risky. I mean, who was it, Oppenheimer?
Yep.
Here? I mean, they didn't know if it was not, like you mentioned, when they released it, there was scientists out there. They had run calculation, but there were scientists out there, and he was thinking this could not stop.
Yeah, he said the reaction could stop here, or it could not stop.
Yes.
Statistically likely it starts here, but the very unstatistically likely event is that it just envelops the Earth.
So CERN, they had the same situation, but someone still flipped the switch. So there's some crazy motherfuckers out there.
There's some guys that are like, fucking hit it, dude. Like, let's see this little God particle happen.
I mean, people look at scientists.
Holy shit, black hole.
These scientists and engineers have some balls because there's been times where they could just ruin the whole planet.
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah. But somebody has to make the call.
Who screwed it up with Wuhan? Yeah. That was ballsy, huh?
And, Lex Friedman said this. I hate bringing him up, but he kind of has the same type of, we'll have to have him on the podcast. He kind of does the same type of stuff we do in this situation, technology he talks about a lot. He said, it's not the idea, he posted this on Instagram yesterday. He said, it's not the idea that it came from Wuhan or whatever. It's the idea that it can happen.
That's all that matters.
Scare the shit out of us.
That's all that matters. It shows you how fragile we are. Everybody thinks we're all invisible. But the thing that is killing us is invisible. It's the thing that makes you sick, that shuts down economies, is the thing that can't be seen.
Yeah. Do you want a mic drop of what this This voice says to
What?
in this aliens.
I
just blew your headphones
You
off.
just blew my headphones off.
This statement right here is
go ahead.
probably the most important statement in the book, I think. Well, maybe the red circle.
No, tell me.
This one's the second one. Your greatest need is to discover the utter simplicity of the basic laws or facts of nature. There's a mic drop right there. I'm going to read it again. Your greatest need is to discover the utter simplicity of the basic laws or facts of nature.
Listen, why do you and I talk about natural creational laws?
Mm-hmm.
Why? They are the fundamental basis. They are the trunk of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
They support everything. We just drip with our own lives, our perspectives, our religions, our, wants. They all drift us away from the thing that fundamentally supports us, the true need, which is the simplicity of what is going on. I explained this to someone the other day who specializes in complex systems, analyzing them. I'm like, great. I'm like, nature's a complex system, right? And they're like, yeah, it's like really hard to understand. I was like, no. I said, nature only appears complex. What it is many, many simple, straightforward, logical systems coming together all at once.
But we all want this, as humans, we all want this mystical experience. We all want this, something that we can delve into and go high. And then from there, we have this euphoric ability to be able to, especially when we get into, a hero's journey, and we talked about that. We all want that. We all want like the Cinderella story. Is like it's supposed to be the greatest story where you have to go, to the ultimate high. People love those. People love the Cinderella story more than anything because you go to an ultimate high, then you go to a low, and then you go to an even lower, and then you go to a super high.
Yeah.
So, it's this whole idea of us seeking this mystical when actually it's right in front of our eyes. We'll sit in front of a computer inside with fluorescent lights to try to figure out artificial intelligence when we have the greatest intelligence that we could ever imagine sitting right here, just right here.
I know, and you think you're going to find it online.
There's a bush right there that has greater intelligence than Google could come up with.
Ever.
Yeah.
Frankly, ever.
We're fixing, I always say that, Southern thing. We're fixing to have that lady on with the trees.
Yeah, Susan Simard.
Yeah, and to be able to send networks. She's going to literally blow the socks off of every single one of us when she talks about this. The system is amazing.
If you go down to the basics of it, the absolute sheer basics is cause and effect.
Yes.
This goes here to have this effect. This one has to maintain the balance, so it sends a new cause to create a new effect back to the same thing. It is always in equilibrium. It is always self-supportive. It is always a unifying process of cause and effect with interactions in between.
Where a well in the Atlantic Ocean can hear a well in the Arctic Ocean, and then you have elephants that can be able to communicate.
Yes,
just by vibration. There's so much out there in nature that all we have to do is take nature, study it.
Yeah,
that's what should be happening in all these institutes.
But I think these guys get such a fucking academic high.
Yes,
off of like making things complex. I'm like. And the first part is, can you fucking explain that simply? No, they can't. Well, then it's dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, it's dog shit. You can't.
Your chalkboard is what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You have. It's wonderful. You have all this like phenomenal math on here that looks like all well and good with all the symbols, right? It's great. Freaking love it. Super cool piece of art. But that's what it is. It's art. It's not legitimately what is going on and can be observed. This is not simple.
Well, it's just imagine making the leap. Say, how do we equate this to nature?
They don't want to equate that, though.
And then
they want to control it, dude.
But see, here is when you take let's stick with math, or we can engineering in instance. When you take something, you have probable causes, right?
Yeah.
And then you develop a theory. A theory is not a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
But you can take those probable causes and compare them against something that is a fact.
Which is right in front
that
of
is operating for millions and millions of years. It's systems that work perfectly that is operating for millions and millions of years. You take humans out of the picture, The Earth will go great.
It'll do great.
The animals will do great. The plants will do great. Everything will do great.
Why are they not? You're exactly correct. Why is
Well, I
nature?
usually am, but-
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing.
You egotistical son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Why are they not using nature as the fundamental proof check?
Yes. Yeah.
Why is that not your lens?
It's the
What is-
spell checker of everything.
What is in fact happening in front of you? Life.
Mm-hmm.
Creation, life, nature is in fact happening in front of you.
And it's not biased. It's agnostic.
This math is not happening in front of me.
Yes.
No matter how much you want to say it is. Your great filter should be this very objective experience that happens directly in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You should have listened to Spinoza,
Yes.
okay? But you didn't. You should have listened to what's the Schauberger. You should have
Yes.
listened to him.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Every time science meets face to face with somebody that wants to blend what's going on in nature with science, they laugh at them. They laugh at the holistic picture. They said, you need to refine it. You got to specialize in one thing. Well, your speciality has slowed our evolution. Fuck face. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I love that. Yeah. So now you're talking about like,
yeah, am I wrong though? Like,
no, it's so stupid, bro. It's like,
I don't want to swear, but it's like, dude, like you're freaking blind to what is
wanna
so
swear,
obvious.
But you know, it's like understanding these. Like every scientific lab out there should have beehives in them.
Yeah, why aren't you paying attention?
And I know, like MIT has that where they have these big rooms with beehives and stuff like that. And understanding, there's so much technology in the efficiency of a hive. You want to figure out efficiency with energy with blockchain. I guarantee the answer is in a beehive.
It's going to be in fungus. It's going to be in beehives. It's going to be in ants.
What in nature has the highest efficiency? Now you say, okay, because this is what you have to do. You have to say, okay, what is my problem? What systems in nature that's been operating for millions of years solve that problem?
That's how we should be. That's the filter. That's exactly my point. Okay, I got an issue. How does nature solve it?
Yes.
If it's your issue and you're a part of nature, there's a solve.
Yeah.
You don't sit out. Why do we have this frame of reference that we sit outside of nature? Why do we consistently miss the fact we cannot control it? When you try and control it, when you try to manipulate it, you're manipulating yourself. You and nature are one and the same. Why is that so hard to realize?
Yes.
Why are people so removed from their own identity of what they really are? And when they remove themselves from others. Once you do that, and you're like going off doing this math, doing this thing, thinking you're all high and mighty, having your ego and your hierarchy, what's the benefit? You've limited your evolution and everybody else.
Well, you know, it's so funny. There was a study where they found that llamas couldn't get COVID. And it was like, everybody laughed it off. I'm like, okay.
Why?
How many other animals can we, I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but how many other animals can we test COVID with?
Yeah.
And then see which ones react. I mean, this is to save humans, you know, so I mean, but how many, and you may disagree with me on this, but.
I don't disagree. The earth slaughters how many millions of cows a day?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, let's take a bunch of different species of animals that are abundant and let's run some tests on them, have them, which one of their systems just kick it right out and doesn't bother them, and which ones do. If a llama doesn't even you can inject it with COVID and it doesn't do anything, let's study them out. We should have had 100 labs with 100 llamas trying to figure these systems out.
Yeah.
And then say, how can we correlate this with us? Instead, we want to manipulate and slice and dice and CRISPR this and CRISPR that to get to this rDNA. Do you know, which is great. I mean, you just had the vaccine. I had the vaccine. But we need to end the show, and I want to close out, and he says this. And you can talk about this if you want. He says, then you will easily be able to produce effects which now seem to you to be impossible.
Can you have almost 100% efficiency? Yes. Can you have an anti-gravitational craft? Yes. Can you do these things that you thought were unimaginable? Yes. But your perspective is complex. Simplify your perspective, simplify your science, simplify the world.